to discuss. So, no more people? Comments are now closed. Okay, and Linelda, I think we rearranged the schedule here,
Yes.
and I believe, Peggy, you're going to be talking
Yes.
You're the first.
first.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the record, I do not have a town credit card. I decline to have one. If I have an expense, I pay it in. For the record, I have in my briefcase a Bible because everything I'm going to tell you right now is the truth. This is not a witch hunt. This is a truth hunt. I have a report. I will make it as thoroughly and quickly as I can, but bear with me. I have a lot of notes. I want to say I had the $45 million introduction, thank you, and the full project design proposal on Friday, December 14th at 4 p.m. before the special meeting to discuss this. That gave me one business day, Monday, December 17th, 1 week before Christmas, 2 weeks before New Year's. Very tough time to get anyone on the phone. Then we had the government shut down federally. You couldn't get anyone in the phone federally. So I voted to put forth this project because I was told I had to get it on the referendum, to get FDOT on board, to get moving. I was told I basically had a sense of urgency and demand put forth by the Treasure Coast planners and town officials and staff. They said it was mandatory to get on the FDOT schedule, provide the referendum for the ballot. I did some original calls on this project back in April at the request then of Town Manager Oakes and the Commissioners Risa and Zelniker. And after that, the Vice Mayor Nyla took over the project after having done quite a bit of work on her own. And I said, fine, I had other concerns to move forward on. When this came up on December 18th at our special meeting, if you'll review my comments, I said I was shocked at the $45 million. I said I had problems with it, but that I would go along with the commission because I believe in working together, and I feel that everyone has really tried to do their best effort. I really think that everyone, the new town manager stepped into the whole middle of this. The attorney came on board in the spring. We have 2 new commissioners now, 3 this year. We're really trying hard. I did a record request last week, just so you all know, for all the FDOT materials dating back 8 years through 4 town managers, past officials, staff, and commissioners, because I want to see what FDOT has done to talk to us about anything regarding A1A. I know the town staff is working on this to date. I have nothing back. That means maybe FDOT hasn't talked to us in 8 years. So that's not our fault. That's not our residents' fault. Then on January 3rd, I met in private with Treasure Coast planners Kim Delaney and Joe Capro. At the meeting, each of us commissioners were offered to attend to answer questions. I believe Commissioner Risa was the only one who took them up on that. At that time, they told me they were never told by anyone in town about our 2016 swale report, ever. They did not know it existed. I then emailed that report to them that night. I requested from them a level, not of the Maserati, which we got for $45 million, but I requested what I called a Chevrolet and Kia level. I'm from Detroit, so Chevrolet and then Kia for the lower level. No offense to anyone who drives one. And then I asked them, why did not we seek grant monies or monies that would be rebated by FP&L and FDOT? Because FP&L at one point said they'd refund $1 million for the hardening of wires if we went underground because we already hardened the wires. They did not have a Chevrolet and Kia report for me. To this date, I have not gotten one. I asked why the project and pricing wasn't finalized sooner, why grants weren't looked into, and did FDOT approve the Starry Night sidewalk or any other of the items in it. I asked about expenses for maintenance, and I was told at that time, which the Finance Board did ask in their last meeting, what the cost would be. And there were 8 baffle boxes costing $300 each, cleaned twice a year or more if there were storms, plus $14,000 per year to clean exfiltration pipes. So we're talking about $20 grand a year plus just to maintain those, plus the purchase of equipment. I asked how you justify to the residents removing their pavers and landscaping, and they couldn't answer that. Because frankly, if we had had a better building department, a better code officer instead of none at all for the last 8 years, they could have informed builders and residents and homeowners on A1A that if you pave or landscape into 17 feet in front of the road, that's not your land. I know everyone's freaking out, they're losing land. It's not your land, it's FDOT. I know this because I have a house with an easement of 6 feet on the south side. I have to give Comcast, electric, everyone access, open my gate, that's fine. That's an easement. You all have it on each side of A1A. If they have a right to come in and take out every tree, they have a legal right. Would they? No. They don't want to upset 8,000 people, however many live here. I asked them what grants might be for this project if we approve the 45 and then come down. They said we would come down from that number. And they said, well, maybe 4 to 5 million for stormwater grants, which is why the sidewalk was included with stormwater, and 1 to 2 million for local initiative grants. Well, the residents' comments poured in. I know in the email of this week from the Citizens to Save Highland Beach, it was noted that I got a request on New Year's Eve and got the okay to extend this 1 year. It was actually, to set the record straight, January 31st, and not December 31st. And at that time, I immediately copied the town manager and the attorney on this information. I sent numerous emails in the last 6 weeks since the 45 million came to light, and I'll just give you a brief overview. I asked if we could save this to cut out everything, including raising the road, burying the wires, exfiltration, the grandiose wording, moving trees, the Delray Sand sign, which is not our business to replace, downgrading pocket parks, and so forth. I asked if we could ask FDOT for what they would do at their cost. Didn't hear back. I have all my emails if you wish to request them, see Lenalda. I also asked on another email, January 14th, I would like to talk about this referendum again because on January 13th, newly elected Governor DeSantis established by executive order the Office of Resilience and Coastal Protection. It's offering in the future funding for coastal communities to deal with sea level rise and other environmental issues. This would fit in with our plan. I actually called the governor's office this week and spoke to 3 people. This office is being established through DEP and/or EPA. It is not staffed. They have our name and number, which I'll provide to our town manager to follow up. What if we can get funding this year? Another email. I asked if we should share data with all commissioners who were emailing the town and the attorney and FDOT, and the answer was yes. I wasn't getting all emails all along. I asked the town manager to please review the financial board minutes and speak to its members. The tax increases appear considerably higher than we are stating, the risk greater, and it would likely not have been a 5-2 vote. It likely would have been a 5-2 vote against the referendum if FAB's remarks had been taken. Another email, I asked if I could please have all the emails dating back to the swale study from FDOT officials to the town. Give me a chance to regroup here. When we voted on this, the wording of the vote was different. It was, do we vote to put the 3 items together, or do we vote to separate them out? We were never given an option to vote no, if you'll review the tape. I find that strange. A lot of people have asked what my vote would be for this, and I keep saying it's not my vote that counts, it's your vote. It's all the 390 some other residents' votes, not mine. But I think you have to know the truth and the facts, and I think you need to have it to vote in the first place. I did some research. Sewell's Point got money for baffle boxes. Almost all the towns on a study I incurred, as some residents have noted, went over budget and over time with their undergrounding. Our town planner was never consulted, Mary McKinney. Our town public works department was never consulted. At that point, Pat of our town made the note to me verbally that if someone would have asked him, he would have said, clean out the rest of the swales. FDOT started to do that at their cost, and if we cleaned out the swales for under $1 million, there's a good chance that would actually repair a lot of our flooding, ponding, et cetera. I asked FDOT why this has not been done, and I've not gotten back to. The planning board never saw the $45 million final amount of money in advance in the project plan, and neither did the FAB. I called Mounts Botanical Gardens, talked to actually a tree expert, a master gardener. It is virtually impossible to remove trees over 20 feet and keep them and prop them up with boards and have them reroot. It's very difficult, expensive, and blocks the road because you need a very long trailer on the back of a very large truck. I don't think our demographics were really looked at for our town. We do have, I do not believe this was done by by me, sorry for that, and the rest of the planning people on this. But if you look at the demographics, which I then did, we are 104,000 average income, but that's an average. It doesn't count on the people who maybe are on a pension or on fixed income. It does not count the people who are working and struggling or perhaps retired and just counting their days out here. I did a lot of phone calls and research. I will say that our building staff and lack of a code officer and lack of problems with Safe Build in the past did not help. I have uncovered some things at Safe Built, which I will get to you in a meeting later this month, which I find disturbing. I will tell you that their budget is not a budget in the annual report. It is spread out throughout the annual report, and the reason Safe Built was kept for 8 years, I will tell you, was because allegedly the housing market was in decline, and when I looked at the permits given over the last 10 years, they increased every year but 2, which was not what the public was told. I want to just show you a quick couple photos. Linelda, how do I do this again? Sorry. There we go. This is just south of Town Hall currently, with before the rains, after the rains. This is 1978, the same piece of land. I was here with my family. You can see there's it's just earth and dirt and some grass. This drained back then. That's from the same lot, just south of Town Hall. If you go back here, you see the sign in the distance that says fire station, and you see the old VW truck there. It's kind of cute. We have that. We've got that. This is the beach, 1978, just south of Town Hall. Wide, no sargassum, clear, an old hut. The beach, 1978, wide, a few seagrasses, a natural state. I just want to show you that the building in the swales, thank you, Linelda, has contributed heavily to this. Now I want to play a tape if I could, because I didn't have time to upload it. And this is what got me started on looking into this on December 19th. This is a tape of Kim Delaney at the presentation, I hope this works, of our meeting December 18th. Please listen to what she says, and then I'll address it.
Minimum state standards is actually a
Is it here?
7-foot buffered bike lane. DOT allows roadways like this to continue with a 5-foot unprotected bike lane because of the existing development pattern. And what you have out there today drops down to about a 24-inch bike lane in locations where edge of pavement has been disrupted. The road is starting to silt.
Hang on, I have to start it over. Sorry, it wasn't out at the beginning.
Project and Complete Streets effort.
Here it is.
One of the things, just of course, to touch on is the challenge of this schedule. The sequencing of your project is different than any other project we've worked on, and we've been asked to introduce an estimate of probable costs before we've had a chance to get back to the public to get feedback on alternatives. So it's just a challenge that's associated with this effort. We are happy to address questions from the commission as you have them, but we know that we've had to move very quickly to bring those costs to you because you have a referendum that you must consider to be able to meet FDOT's resurfacing schedule. Of course, just to remind the commission of that schedule that we've been made aware of with DOT, we know that DOT plans to come in and resurface and rehabilitate the road in a 4 to 5 year time frame. It's in their work program now being scheduled, so we know that will entail essentially milling the entire corridor and resurfacing the entire corridor when that occurs, and that's a state requirement to meet hurricane evacuation and other safety standards. We know that FDOT has to address some of the drainage problems that exist on the roadway today, because then we know the road floods in peak storm events, and that makes it unsafe for folks to move.
That's the basics of it. I spoke to FDOT several times last week, 2 different people, and I would like to now state their comments regarding that tape and other situations and instances that we've been told to. These are statements that are not factual or true. We were told we cannot take more time, but we can take another year. We were told they're doing the sidewalk over. They're not. We were told that our referendum had been viewed. FDOT did not know we had a $45 million referendum, period. They did not see the project and the whole report ahead of time. FDOT does not have a 20-year cycle. FDOT has no such 20-year cycle. Their cycles vary depending on the road and where it is. For example, I said, is 441, State Road 441 west of town, and the Beeline Highway, and A1A, and our little A1A all the same? No, there is no such number on a cycle. I said we were told we have to have a referendum before obtaining grants. No, we do not have to have the referendum. There are a few grants that are sub-grants for FDOT and other grants, federal, state, local. It's helpful to have a referendum. Many do not require a referendum at hand. I asked why we don't have grants, why we haven't looked at grants. There was no answer. We are not on an FDOT schedule right now, period. We are on no schedule. And FDOT did not want to raise the road. They are against raising the road. So I sent a second set of questions back, and I will be glad to copy these for anyone, and I've not heard back, though I've talked to 2 different people at FDOT. Please advise of the following. When did FDOT first advise the town it was being considered for a RRR project, and who did you advise? When did you identify your intended schedule to complete the resurfacing? This is a quote. As necessary to preserve the life of the pavement and in a safe operating condition. How safe is our roadway now? What criteria did you use to determine you'd include Highland Beach in the RRR tentative work schedule? Were there any other RRR tentative work schedules offered? Was the town made aware of your annual paving testing every April, and were the results given to the town? When was your last repaving by FDOT of Highland Beach State Road A1A? When were you informed of the $2.1 million referendum on the ballot last year or the $45 million this year? They knew about neither one. Why does FDOT federal, state, and public-private partnerships require a referendum passed and funds committed before seeking out grant monies? The person did answer that, not required. Why was the swale study conducted in 2016, then 7 to 53 identified swales repaired and then work halted? If your priority includes bicycle and pedestrian safety and our current sidewalk is located on FDOT right-of-way, why would FDOT not provide a new sidewalk on both sides of the roadway? If our current sidewalk causes a resident to fall due to tree roots protruding, flooding, or any other reason, isn't that your responsibility due to his location on FDOT easement and FDOT not installing new sidewalks to your minimum standards? Why does FDOT not repair swales in front of single-family homes? And lastly, why should a town and residents incur any cost for improvements to state-owned right-of-way? FDOT explained this to me. They have a cycle. They suggest towns do put up a referendum in March. In April, they come in and they test the roadway for how good the pavement is. In July, they set what is called a new tentative work program. They had been talking to people from our town about putting us in and starting a tentative work program now, which would put us in the cycle of 2021 to 25. And this is what got me thinking, why is it 019 and we're talking about a cycle in 021? That's how long it takes to get on in their program and on there. We are not listed at all currently on any cycle. They did state that we would be allowed to take an extra year. The roadway is acceptable, and if we did a referendum in 2020, it would be put forth on the 2022 to 25 cycle and start construction maybe by 2025 and do any other work before then. Just a second, sorry, I've got a lot here to say.
Just be careful of the time.
I know, I got it. I'll just read you a few comments from FDOT if that helps. The bottom line is the town deserves answers. The commission deserves the correct answer. The residents need all the information and answers to vote. And I feel like either we were not given the answers due to omission, withholding them, misrepresenting them, I don't know what. I was told that 37% of all FP&L in the state that they serve is undergrounded, and 90% of new communities in Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade are undergrounded. We have a maker of the underground conduits who lives right here in Highland Beach. He should be talked to. He should be talked to for his input. Other towns are doing things like banning fertilizer and pesticide, and that would reduce the need for baffle boxes. There are a lot of things to consider. I was a newspaper reporter and still work in news, and I've been in marketing a long time. And this launched me into looking at what the heck is going on. Why are we doing this rush referendum for $45 million without grants, without FDOT and FPL money put back into it? And why are we told this information? The answer was due to the meetings. I read my 5 pages of notes here with FDOT. Due to meetings with Treasure Coast Planning, the Vice Mayor, and Nick, whose last name I never got, and the corresponding with different representatives of the community. I said, is our existing pavement and situation acceptable? And they said, yes, this is not urgent, it is not emergent. We expect a future Triple R project based on the pavement survey that they will be doing in April. We could include the project in the 2021 cycle. If we had to wait to the 2022 cycle, they believe that would be fine. And they would start construction in 2025. Quote, if we need more time, we can do 1 more year. My suggestion is we pull the referendum, we wait 1 year. I talked to the supervisor of elections office yesterday, and it is possible, though complicated, and it might be a cost to us. I do not feel that anyone is really at fault. I feel everyone is really trying hard to do a correct job. Treasure Coast Planning came to us with great kudos at having served 4 counties, Martin, Indian River, Palm Beach, what's the other county north? 4 counties, and they have serviced Jupiter, thank you, St. Lucie, thank you. They have serviced Jupiter. They conducted a lot of the repaving and renovation of Atlantic Avenue, Delray Beach. They are a very fine organization. They stated they were pushed. They were pushed by people in our town. We don't need to push. We have a year. We should get together, the people of the community who have knowledge and input and care, form a citizens board, call on our financial board to look at the numbers. They're in disagreement with our town financial officer. I'm sure the answer's in the middle. I'm sure the answer's in the middle for this referendum. If this referendum fails, FDOT's going to come in whenever they want. They can do whatever they want in front of your all's houses, condos, and villas. They can do whatever they want because they own it. If we have a referendum in an orderly fashion that makes everyone happy, instead of dividing the town to mansion people, I keep hearing mansions against condos. and East Side against West Side, and old people against young people. I mean, really, it's terrible, and we shouldn't be acting this way. We should all get together and continue to work on the project and hone it until it's in a form that everyone is a little bit happy, and that our finances are put in correct order. That's my proposal. I have a lot more to say, but in the element of time, I will keep my notes with my notes. Thank you very much.
Everyone, please be aware we only have less than a half hour before we have to make a decision to advertise this. So I would just ask all my colleagues, including myself, to keep it as quickly as possible. We think we know the answer.
Barry Donaldson, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good questions today from the audience, good questions from the commissioner, thank you. Some kind of common theme that tends to go through all this is, boy, we were rushed. Yeah, we were rushed because we were told we had a deadline, period. We were told we had a deadline. We had two deadlines. We had a deadline to get this thing defined up to a conceptual level, do a responsible costing, and we had a deadline to get it on a referendum. That's reality. That's where we came from. Okay, so please try to understand that. Let's understand what we did during that period. There's a lot of heavy lifting was done. In that period of time, we abandoned a lengthy FRP process to select a consulting team before we became aware of the pending fixed deadline by FDOT. And we didn't have time to complete that RFP process. That's a fact. It was going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. Yes, weeks and weeks and weeks. It has to go to a workshop. It has to go to a commission. People have to be selected. You have to define scope. You have to negotiate all that. There wasn't enough time to do that. We had to abandon that process. I know because I served on the selection committee as a member at that time. We reached out to the ready resources of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to assemble a team from their pre-qualified list of engineers and planners experienced in projects similar to those under consideration by the town. Yes, experienced. We listened to several special presentations to the Town Commission and the Planning Board by the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council regarding their approach to the project and received a recommendation from the Planning Board to proceed. Fourth, we negotiated a contract to retain the TCRPC to initiate public workshops in a transparent, open fashion and prepare conceptual plans, not final plans, conceptual plans. We conducted 2 public meetings, the first attended by 80 people providing input into the identification of key issues, and the second to receive constructive critiques of the early planning, which is being used for the upcoming 3rd public workshop in early March. At that time, we'll discuss further refinements and clarifications to the components of the conceptual plans. We brought FP&L to the table to advise on costs and methodologies to provide underground utilities in a coordinated way with FDOT and the town. We had prepared a detailed, not to exceed budget for the referendum language based on the conceptual plans. We debated and crafted 3 project referendum questions in time to meet the firm deadline by the county supervisory elections for inclusion on the 12th of March ballot. We engaged the services of an independent financial advisor to evaluate the finances of the town and offer a well-researched opinion on the likely strength of the bond issuance, AA1 possibly AAA. We provided a financial advisory board with a detailed review of the financial strength of the town, its residents, and the ability of the town to manage the debt in a detailed report prepared by the town financial director. And finally, the financial director is returning February 6th to that board to respond to some opinions expressed by some of the FAB members regarding financial aspects of the projects and bonds. This has been a monumental effort. This wasn't dreamed up quickly. This was done with a lot of citizen input, a lot of talk, a lot of discussion. Some people didn't bother to show up. That's their right.